We'll talk about the perspective and distortion tools. I'll show you the perspective tool, the distort tool, and the vanishing point that's a filter. They have the same goal, so in that way we will be able to put a texture like this one in perspective. First of all, let's verify that your layer is unlocked, otherwise you can't apply any transformation. And the first tool I show you is from Edit, Transform, and is the perspective tool. Will help you just basically put your texture in a correct, mathematically correct perspective, but it won't give you the possibility to control the image that much. In fact, you can move only one corner vertically or horizontally, and the other corner, the opposite corner, will be managed automatically by the software. When you are satisfied by your transformation that's applied, clicking enter, and remember that in case you have to stretch your perspective, you can apply again the normal scale tool and fix it. This is not my favorite tool because you can't really control it. What I suggest you to use is the Distort tool, Edit, Transform, and Distort, that works in a very similar way. The only difference is that when you move a corner where you want, vertically, horizontally, in the middle of your canvas, the other corners are there, so you have to control them by your own, meaning that you can really achieve the perspective that you prefer. You can use the Distort tool to create compositions in perspective or to apply your texture on sketches, renders, whatever. So let's check this example. I will apply my texture here. This is a volumetric render. So first of all, I copy, select all, Command C, my image, and I paste it, Command V, on my volumetric render image. It's huge, so I'll scale the picture to make it smaller, applying the transformation. And in order to see what I'm doing, so in order to see the background, but also to save the natural shadows of my image, I'll change the blending mode from normal to multiply. Now I'll position on a corner, so I'm looking at this corner, my picture, just to have a starting point. And now I'll go on Edit, Transform, and Distort, and I'll try one by one to move the anchor points, so the other three corners of the picture, to follow the wall. Pay attention, the goal is not to put the corner here, but just to follow the line, so control the outcome of your texture, if you like it, if it's too stretched, distorted, and so on. So I'm trying to save the original proportion, let's say, but I'm trying to follow the lines of my wall. So let's say something like this. Maybe here is too much. I'll check what I have here at the background, so I'll try to create a parallel line. I also have here this reference that's useful. And when I'm satisfied, again, I click OK. Now, obviously, we have to get rid of what I have outside my wall that I don't need. And I turn off 1 second my layer. I'll click on the background picture and I'll select the wall, so the area I really want to see. With the polygonal lasso tool, because all the lines are straight, so it will be faster. And once the selection is closed, I again turn on the texture layer, I click on it to select it, and I apply the layer mask. So the usual, let's say, Japanese flag. And this is the outcome. Now, chapter number 3, how to achieve exactly the same outcome, but in a more professional way. Professional way means more mathematically correct. Using the vanishing point, for example. Now, let's remember that I already copied the texture because we use it here. So my laptop memorized the copy of the texture, so I don't need to copy it again. but I want to show you how to apply the vanishing point. First of all, and do not skip this step, let's create a new empty layer. I turn off 1 second this one because we don't really need it. Maybe we'll try to apply the same texture here in the same wall. So let's create a new layer. I call it vanishing point just for you to see what will happen. And then I go on filter and vanishing point to open it. The interface will change a bit. We don't have here too many tools, but we have the main one, that's this one on the left, create plane tool. The only thing I can do here is to define, just clicking, starting from the corner. So click, click. Here let's imagine where the wall could be. Basically I'm defining the plane. We are very lucky if this is the outcome. So if we achieve a blue grid, it's the same if we achieve a yellow grid. If you achieve a red grid, pay attention because you can't use it. So at that point, just move a bit the corner to fix it until it's fine. And now again, since I already copied the texture that I used before, I paste it, Command B normally. Pay attention because this texture is huge. So I'll make it smaller. I'm using fast tools such as Command T, Command Transform to make it smaller. Otherwise, you have here the scale tool that's pretty similar. I'll make it smaller. Now I do it randomly. I don't care about the size, but just to show you that when you drag your texture inside, the texture will be automatically applied inside that surface in perspective. And if you're lucky enough to see the corner, let's remember that you can continue scale it. Obviously, you scale it in perspective. When you click OK, this layer is on the layer we called before vanishing point that was transparent. Obviously, to achieve a more realistic effect, let's move the blending mode from normal to multiply. And please remember again to apply the layer mask again to identify the area that you really want to see. We get rid of the pillar that we don't need, so I select the correct area, I visualize again the layer, and I apply the layer mask. So we achieve exactly the same outcome in two different ways. But the vanishing point is nice also because we can unlock other tools inside the filter, such as the clone stamp tool, or we can use the vanishing point to draw the guidelines of the surfaces we want and use them, for example, to create on top of them compositions, digital sketches, whatever. So again, I'm on a realistic picture. Again, it can be a sketch. I create a new layer just to be sure because I don't want to touch the original picture. And I go inside filter and vanishing point to see the interface we saw before. I always zoom out a bit because it's useful to see also the area around, because if I want to define the surface on the right, probably the wall that's naturally finishing outside will require to click outside the canvas, like this one. Again, lucky to see the blue grid. Now, just a trick, if we press Command or Control from Windows and we click in the square here in the middle, not the corners, the square here in the middle, we can create another wall starting from that one, so they will be together, combined. This is not nice, so again, let's move the corner to try to achieve something correct. Okay, blue and blue. Now, what we can do, first of all, as we've done before, we can apply a texture inside the right wall, inside the left one, or both, because they are considered, let's say, a unique surface. Otherwise, we can use, for example, the clone stamp tool we have here on the left. Why you should do it? Because maybe you want to copy and paste using the clone stamp tool one object that's on a wall, fixing and saving its perspective, because obviously if we copy this object here on the left, the object should be smaller. If we copy and paste here on the right, it should be a bit bigger, even more if I change the wall. When you are going to use the clone stamp tool, let's remember to check the size of the tool, the hardness if you want to precise it or not, the opacity, we want it 100, and heal on. In this way, Photoshop will try to fix the lights a bit more. And now you normally use it, so Alt or Option and click to start copying one corner. And if you see here, it's stretched, here it's smaller. So normally use it. And you see that Photoshop is trying to blend the color of the original object with the new area. If you're not satisfied by this outcome, you can also try it with luminance. As I told you, we can copy the object also on the other wall. Now, the perspective I have here is very, very stretched, and this one very, very large, so the outcome is not the best, but this is the only way to use the clone stamp tool in perspective. Again, the goal is to fix images. If we click OK, these pictures are on a separate layer, so in case you really need to fix it, use all the tools that you know. For example, I can continue using the layer mask to get rid of the area I don't want and to achieve a more realistic outcome. I do it very, very fast. The last thing I want to show you here is the fact that we can use the vanishing point just to render our grids. Again, same process. I created a new empty layer. I click on it, filter, vanishing point. I define all the surfaces that I need. So let's say that these two that I created before that were automatically saved when I click OK are fine. To render the grids, so to save these grids into a new layer, go on the options here on the left, top left, very small, and just click Render Grids to Photoshop. You won't see anything because they are rendered, they are saved on the layer you created that we can see here. So just click OK and your grids are here. I show you better the outcome putting a colored background. These are your grids, so obviously pay attention also in this case to prepare a new empty layer for Photoshop and the vanishing point. This is something you can use to create your composition, to sketch. So let's imagine you want this structure, but you want to create your own composition with your textures. You can copy your textures, you can put them here following one of the main corners of your composition. And you can simply use the Distort tool to quickly follow your surface. Hope this is clear.